Hi guys, this is Miss Owens. Today I'm going to be leading you through your vocabulary for our current chapter, which is called Minerva et Arachne. You should already know this myth because last week we watched a video about it, and soon we're going to translate it in Latin. So these words are going to help you out for the next couple of weeks as we go through the chapter. As I read the words, I'd like you to be filling things in on this sheet, which is also found on Google Classroom. I'm going to be reading the word so you can hear what it sounds like. I'll also be telling you its definition and a derivative if it has one. If it doesn't have a derivative, I've gone ahead and I've blacked out that spot so you know that there's nothing to write there. So if you have any questions, please forward them along, and this PowerPoint will also be posted. So if you don't want to listen to me reading it to you, you just want to fill it in, that's fine too. But it is good to hear the words, especially those derivatives, to hear they sound alike. All right, here we go. Our first word is agricola, and it is masculine. It means farmer, and our derivative is agriculture. This is related to that word ager we've seen already that means field. So agriculture, of course, is the cultivation of crops in a field, which is what a farmer does. Remember, you can always pause this video or go back if you need to rehear something. Our second word is casa. Casa, it's feminine. The word for casa, the meaning for casa is house or home, and you might already know the word casa from Spanish. Spanish comes from Latin, and so it's the same word in both languages. Pretty cool. All right, our next word is dea, dea, and it is feminine. This word means goddess. If you watched your video, you know that the goddess Minerva, also called Athena, is in our video, is in our chapter. And so we need to have a word for goddess. The derivative we have for dea is deity, which is another way of saying a god. Remember, you can pause this at any time if I'm going too fast. All right, our fourth word is a word we've already seen before, discipulus. Discipulus, and it's masculine. You might remember me saying salvete discipuli a lot at the beginning of class. That's how I would greet you because the word discipulus means student. Discipuli, of course, is the plural. So when I would talk to everyone, I would say salvete discipuli. Some words that come from discipulus are disciple, which is someone who is actively learning from someone else, and discipline. Discipline is a method of training. You have to have a lot of discipline if you want to be a pro athlete, for instance. It's a way of training yourself. This would come from discipulus. You can hear in the Latin how we always pronounce a C like a K, discipulus. But of course, that C starts to sound more like an S in words like disciple and discipline. All right, next word, incola. Incola. This word is feminine. It means an inhabitant or a villager. Inhabitant or villager. We do not have a derivative for this word. Inhabitant, someone who lives in a place, or villager, someone who lives in a village. Our next word is lana. Lana, that's feminine. And it means wool. We do not have a derivative for lana. There are a few technical words that come from this, but I don't know about you. I don't deal with wool very often. It's in my clothes sometimes maybe, or my textiles around the home, but I don't really do any weaving, so I don't encounter those words very often. So it's good enough to know that it's lana means wool. Our next word, also a familiar one, magister. Magister. This word is masculine. You wouldn't use this one with me in class. The next one, magistra, is the one you'd use with me because I am female, so you'd use the feminine form of the word. So magister is what you would call a male teacher. Those of you guys who know Mr. Fletcher, you can call him Magister Fletcher because this word means teacher, but for a man. The derivative we have for this word is magistrate, which is kind of a fancy sounding word that just means someone who has some kind of office, someone who's in charge, a magistrate. Magistrate. And here's magistra or magistra. You might have said it more commonly. That's the feminine form, and it means a teacher who is female. We've got the same derivative for this word, a magistrate. So you can just copy that one from your field before. Magistrate. Again, that's somebody who holds an office or some kind of authority. Magistrate. All right, remember, you can always pause this video if I'm going too fast. All right, our next word is nympha. Nympha. It's feminine and pretty easy here. It means a nymph. If you don't know what a nymph is, I've included a picture here. This green lady with the bow and arrow. She is a person of nature. She is not quite a goddess. She doesn't have far-reaching power like our gods and goddesses that we've studied, but still kind of a mythical creature, a supernatural person. She might have some kind of powers, and they usually are associated with nature. They live in trees or in rivers or streams. They like natural places. They don't like cities. And they don't often interact with people either. Nympha is a nymph. They're always female. All right, our next word, pictura. Pictura. That's also feminine. And this is pretty easy. Pictura means picture. It's the word it sounds like. It's the word it means. And in fact, our own word picture comes from pictura in Latin. Pretty easy. All right. Our next word, this is a fun one. Sapientia. Sapientia. It's a fun one to say. Sapientia. It's feminine. And this is a feminine word that means wisdom. This word shows up in some science writing. And in fact, when you study about the evolution of man or the discovery of let's say, the bones of man's ancestors, you will find out that the Latin name of our species is Homo sapiens. Both of those are Latin words. It's the Latin name. Homo means man, and sapiens means wise or thinking, because that's the thing that distinguishes us from the ancestors that came before us, that we are smart and thinking and maybe, hopefully, wise. Homo sapiens. All right, our next word is silwa. Silwa. You can hear I'm pronouncing that V like a W. Silwa. And that's feminine. And it means woods or forest. It's a place. You can imagine those nymphs living in the woods or the forest. And in fact, there's an English word, sylvan, which sounds a lot like silwa. That is the word that means a forest or woods. And also some names like Sylvester or Sylvia, if you know anyone with those names, that also comes from this word that means forest or woods. Pretty cool. All right, our next word is vita. Vita, it's feminine. You can hear again, I'm pronouncing a V like a W, which is how Latin does it. Vita. And it means life. Some derivatives are words that have a lot to do with life and living. Words like vital, which is something that is essential or necessary, and vitamin, which is something that gives you life. It gives you energy and health and things like that that you need to live. All right. Now for these next few, I've had our verbs listed on two different lines on the sheet that you're filling out, but you'll see that I've included them on the same slide. That's because, as you guys know, the first form here that ends in RE is called the infinitive. And if we take off the RE, we can add the endings that help conjugate the verb. So clamare and clamat are really the same word. That ending changes its meaning a little bit. So we've included two different entries on our paper, but they really have the same meaning at heart. Okay? So clamare and clamat. Clamare means to shout. You're going to see that with all of the RE words. They mean to blank. And clamat, that T ending we know means he, she, or it. So clamat means he, she, or it shouts. The derivative we've got for this word is an exclamation, which is any kind of shout. And the type of punctuation you would show that someone is shouting, an exclamation point, also comes from this word. Don't forget, you can always pause this video or back it up a little bit if you missed something. All right, our next words, dare and dot. And you can see that those two words are related as well. The DA that starts both of them, the RE form and the T form. Dare with the RE means to give. Dot with the T means he, she, or it gives. A derivative for this one might not be super obvious at first, but the word donation comes from this. If you remember our conjugations, you know that the O ending means I do whatever the verb means. OST, mus, tis, nt, those are your endings. So that DO form is actually the first principal part of this word. If that kind of flew by you right here, don't worry too much. Just write down that donation, which is something that you give or volunteer to someone, comes from the word dare, which means to give. All right, formare and format. You might hear me pronounce that a little bit differently than the way it looks. Format is a word that we use a lot in English, but we're going to pronounce this like the Latin here, formare and format. Those words mean formare means to make or to form, and format means he, she, or it makes or forms. It's nice that the word form is in there, and in fact, you can see from our derivatives that the word form comes from this word, but also we can use the word to make, might sound a little bit better in our translation. So we want to have that one on hand too, okay? Your derivatives are form or formation or format. There's that word, format. These are handy to help you remember the meaning of the word, but it's also good to know the words that come into our language that come from Latin. About 60% of English comes directly from Latin, and here's your evidence. All right, next words here. Glomerare and glomerat. Glomerare and glomerat. All right, glomerare, that RE form means, this is going to be kind of long, to form into a ball. Glomerat means he, she, or it forms into a ball. Now, it's funny, in English, we don't have one word that really means this, but this is what it means. It means when you kind of like, let's say you take a bunch of snow and you pack it together so it forms into a ball. In Latin, they've got one handy word that means that very action, form into a ball. The derivative here, you can see that idea of something that is shaped like a ball. The word globe comes from this, interestingly enough. And yeah, the globe is used as a shape name for a sphere. You might know the globe best as when it has the planet Earth on it. You can have one of those on your desk and look at all the oceans and countries. But globe, yeah, shaped like a ball. All right, next one. Laborare and laborat. Laborare and laborat. These are old words. You've seen these before, but they're going to be helpful in our chapter. Laborare, that RE form means to work. Laborat means he, she, or it works. Derivatives are words like labor, so like hard work, but also when ladies give birth, they go into labor, which also involves a lot of hard work. And also something you might be doing for science class right now, the word lab comes from the longer word laboratory, which is a place for working. Pretty cool. Labor and laboratory or laboratory. You can say it either way. A lab. All right. Getting there, guys. Our next one is laudo, laudare. And I can see I have a typo on here. Should be laudare and laudat. My apologies. But you can see it in front of you. And let's go to the next slide and see if I got it right here. Yes, I did. My apologies. That's I wrote the dictionary entry on that one rather than the one you have on your page. Just kind of second instinct for me there. But this is the important one. Laudare, A-R-E, means to praise. And laudat means he, she, or it praises. Now that crazy form I had on the slide before, laudo, with the O ending, remember me saying this before, that O ending means I do it. So laudo just means I praise. It's just a different form of the verb, but they all mean the same thing. And your derivative for this one, this is a fun one. You should ask your parents or even some of your older brothers, sisters, cousins, anyone who's graduated from high school or college, see if they know what this means, magna cum laude. This is a special distinction that you can get on your diploma. It means with great praise. It means that you did really, really well in your studies and you got a really high GPA and you are getting great praises from your institution. So it's a fun thing to demonstrate a little bit of Latin knowledge because it is a Latin phrase, with great praise. All right. Our next one, salve, salvete. That sounds familiar. I said it earlier when I reminded you guys of how I would greet you. Salve, if I'm talking to one of you. Salvete discipuli, if I'm greeting the whole class. This word means hello. And I just put a little reminder here. You do not need to write this down, but it's a good thing to keep in mind. Salve is what we say when we talk to one person. Salvete is used for more than one more than one person, excuse me. So if I talk to the whole class, I would say salvete discipuli. But if I were talking to just you, I would say salve. All right, next word, wale, walete. You can hear again that my V sounds like a W. Wale, walete. This word means goodbye or farewell, and the same rule applies. Wale is for one person. So when I say goodbye to one person, I would say wale. But if I'm talking the whole class, let's say you're going off to lunch or you're going on a break, I would say walete discipuli. Means I'm talking to more than one person. All right, our next word, this is an adjective. If you remember that adjectives describe a person, place, or thing, they describe a noun. This word peritus and perita, it's got two different forms because the US ending is if it's describing a boy, or perita if it's describing a girl, a masculine noun or a feminine noun. This word means skillful or skilled, might sound better too. If you remember from your myth last week, Arachne is particularly skilled. She's very lucky. She practices her skill. And in fact, a word that comes from this is the word experience. I underlined the part there in case you couldn't see it right away because it doesn't start with these letters, but P-E-R-I, like peritus, experience. So it's interesting that you can gain a skill or knowledge just by going through something. Like I think we're all getting a little bit of experience with how to self-regulate our schedules and motivate ourselves to do important work. It's going to be a skill that's going to be helpful for us forever. All right, next one, another adjective. The words here are superbus and superba. Remember that US means it's describing something that's male, and the A means it's describing something that's female. The word here means proud, and a derivative is superb. So something that is superb is something that's excellent, great, or mighty. And so we can see kind of that relationship there, but superbus is not always a very nice thing to call someone because if you are proud, you can also be arrogant. You can be too proud, right? And we know that from our myth, Arachne is a little bit too proud of her skill. So we can cut both ways. All right, next one. These are pretty quick because these are all different parts of speech that don't have a lot of principal parts. Bene is an adverb, and it means well. Not a well like a place where you go get water, but something like you paint very well, or you did very well on your test. It describes how something is done. Some derivatives here are the words like benefit. So something that is done for someone's benefit is something that is done to make their life better or to help them. And benevolent. Someone who is benevolent is someone who is doing good things, someone who is doing things to benefit other people. See bene in both of them. All right, home stretch, guys. Certe, certe. You can hear also that I'm pronouncing my C's like K's. That is also a Latin thing. Certe means certainly. So spelled very much the same, but that C sounds like an S in English. Certainly or surely. Derivatives look a lot like the original word certain or certainly. All right, next one. Doom, doom. You hear me say that with kind of a long U sound, doom. That word means while. So I would say something like, while I am cooking, I like to listen to music. That's where I would use the word like doom. All right. Quid. You can see there that I've got ... question mark. That shows you that it begins a question. Quid means what. So if I asked, what are you cooking for dinner? I would use that word quid. What are you cooking for dinner? All right. Next one, quode. Similar, but it's not Q-U-I-D, it's Q-U-O-D, quode. And you can see there's no question mark here. This word just means because. Because. Good conjunction. All right. Another Q word, quoque. Quoque. It's a fun one to say. Quoque. This word means also. All right. Saipe. Saipe. Kind of like when you sigh, saipe. Word means often. All right. Last couple here. This is an old word, one you've seen before. The word is te, T-E, te. And if you can think of for a second and try to remember what that word means, we've seen it before. It means you. But specifically, it means you if you are a direct object. So, not the subject, the direct object. It would be something like, I saw you yesterday. Or, let's see, I helped you with your homework. Something like that. You is the direct object, not the subject. Okay. And our very last word here, to be. To be. Also a fun one to say, to be. This is related to te. It means to you or for you. So if I said something like, I did a favor for you, I would use to be. Or I sent a letter to you, to be would also be appropriate. All right. Well, guys, you did it. These vocab words are going to be helpful for the next couple of weeks at least. We'll see how far we go, but make sure you hold on to them. On Wednesday, later this week, you will have a little game that you want to use these words for, so keep them handy, all right? You guys did awesome. Thank you so much. Good work.